Hello everybody, Natasha Butler, JCU Marketing Lecturer, and this is week 6 video 3 for Marketing Matters BU1108, BU2108, and this week we're discussing segmentation, target markets and positioning. Now in the first video we discussed why business segments the market. In the second video, we looked at the 4 variables that marketers use to segment that market, and those 4 variables being demographic, geographic, psychographic and behavioural. Now, from conducting the segmentation exercise, marketers usually identify multiple segments that they could be consumers for their offer. So in this video, we're going to discuss how marketers actually select the most optimal segment to market to. And in identifying that optimal target market, we employ a 5-step process for target market selection. The first being we identify the appropriate marketing targeting strategy. We determine which segmentation variables that we're going to use, develop market segment profiles, evaluate relevant market segments, and finally we select the specific target markets that we're going to look at. So let's look at step number 1, identifying the appropriate targeting strategy. The targeting strategy that's used is affected by target market needs and characteristics, product attributes and the organisation's objectives and resources. Now there are 3 different strategies a business can use: undifferentiated, concentrated or differentiated. So let's look at those 3 now. An undifferentiated strategy or targeting strategy is one in which an organisation assumes that the entire market for our particular product, so that's everybody who could be buying our product, is the most appropriate target market, and where just one product with one communication strategy is used to target the entire mass market. The underlying assumption that we have here is that the needs of the target market for specific kinds of products are very similar. Therefore, the business can satisfy most customers with a single marketing mix. Now, this isn't too commonly used today. It did used to be quite often used, but now with the changing needs of consumers and for businesses wanting to remain or continuing to provide products that is specific to what our target audience is looking for, there's a lot of differentiation that goes on. So an example being toilet paper, because I mean everybody buys toilet paper, but yet or tissues, but now we have different product sizes to work with different product needs and different qualities of that product as well. So it's not too many markets that use an undifferentiated marketing strategy, targeting strategy these days. The second approach is using a concentrated targeting strategy, and this is one where the organisation targets a single market segment. So they identify one segment of the market and use one marketing mix to attract them. So there are some advantages and disadvantages to using the concentrated strategy. Some of the advantages include that this specialisation gives the firm an opportunity to analyse the characteristics and the needs of a distinctive customer group really carefully, and they're then able to focus all of their marketing efforts to satisfying that one group's needs. A firm can actually generate large volumes of sales by reaching a single segment. A firm with rather restricted resources is able to compete with a much larger organisation. But some of the disadvantages of this, though, is that if the segment's demand for the product declines, the company's financial strength also does as well. So, and also to success in one segment may preclude entry into another segment. But this is a strategy that I engaged in when I launched Moving Comfort sports bras to the Australian market. I recognised for me that I didn't have the resources to target multiple segments, so I selected one, and that being the running market to focus all of my energy on to start with, before then being able to branch out further. Which then looks at the differentiated strategy, and this differentiated targeting strategy is where an organisation targets 2 or more segments by developing a marketing mix for each segment. Now keep in mind, our marketing mix is our 4P, so our product, price, place and promotion. Now, some of the advantages of this is that a business can increase its sales in a total market by focusing on more than one target segment. And sales to additional market segments may absorb excess production capacity if required. However, some of the disadvantages is that a greater number of production processes, materials and skills or resources are required. So therefore there's a higher production cost. So however, though, it is a great tool to use so that we can identify and target our products to two different segments. And what we'll find is that most businesses have more than one target audience or one segment that may be attractive to them. So with looking at that differentiated targeting strategy, there's several distinct promotion plans and distribution methods that are required, which actually results in higher marketing costs when using this differentiated targeting strategy. Mass customization combines the personalization and the flexibility of custom-made products at the level of mass production. Technology, though, enables customization to happen on a mass scale, and we see that quite often now, that we're able to produce customized products, or toilet paper in different packaging, to hit that personalization or the flexibility or the personalization of our target audience. Collaborative customization involves talking to customers to help them recognize what they need and how to fulfill those needs for the purposes of creating customized products with them. An area that we're doing that is sports shoes, that we're able to have that collaborative customization. So a lot of runners now that you're able to customize. Then we have adaptive customization, and that includes one standard product that is supplemented with a few customization options that are offered, such as McDonald's, where you can build your own burger. We have cosmetic customization, and that's where a standard product is advertised differently to different target markets. Finally, transparent customization, and this is where customized products are provided to individual clients. So we've just looked at the first step of identifying the appropriate targeting strategy. Now we need to determine which segmentation variables to use. And as we know from looking at our previous video, for market segmentation to succeed, there's 5 conditions that need to be met. And these include: the customer needs for the product must be heterogeneous, the segments must be identifiable and divisible, the total market must be divided so segments can be compared, at least one segment must have enough profit potential to justify developing and maintaining that special marketing mix for it, and finally, the company must be able to reach that chosen segment with their particular marketing mix. And as I said, we've discussed those conditions in video 1, so you might want to go back and review those in further detail. And as we've also discussed too, the segmentation variables. So these are the characteristics of individuals or groups of organisations that we use to divide the market into segments. And we looked at the variables for segmenting the consumer markets, being demographic, geographic, psychographic and behaviouristic. And we went through that all in video 2, so go back and refer to that for further detail. And then we looked at those variables for segmenting business markets as well. So the geographic, the type of organisation, the size of the customer and the product use. So for us to determine, we need to now think about which actual segmentation variables are we going to use here. Do we need to use age, for example? Do we need to use religion? What geographic variables? Is it the state, the climate, etc.? So we can now consider which variables are important to us in our segmentation. So now that we've identified our targeting strategy and determined the segmentation variables that we're going to use, the next step is to develop the market segment profiles. The market segment profiles describe the similarities among potential customers within the segment and also explain the differences among people and organisations in different market segments. A profile can deal with demographic characteristics, geographic, product benefits or lifestyle, psychographics, and brand preferences or usage rates, so the behaviouristic elements. And those market segment profiles benefit marketers in several ways as they determine the most attractive segment. by providing an understanding of how a business can use its capabilities to serve potential customer groups. Now, through this process, as we can see here on the screen, it's likely that we're going to identify multiple segments that could be targeted by the business. And that's good to know, because honestly, when we're looking at our business, we have different types of customers. And as we've spoken about earlier on, it's not about excluding, it's about identifying the people that are going to, where we're going to have the greatest share of wallet, or be able to attract easily to be our target audience. And we're wanting to attract more of that type of people. So that's why we do this type of analysis. So by now, we've identified our appropriate targeting strategy. We've determined the variables that we're going to use for our segmentation. We've developed our profiles. Now we need to evaluate those segments. So now, after doing our analysis of those segment profiles, we now need to identify several relevant segments, and we need to do a little bit further analysis here. So when we're considering, factors that we consider when assessing these relevant market segments include sales estimates, competitive estimates, and cost estimates. So first of all, when we're looking at those different target audiences or those different segments, we need to consider what the potential sales for that segment can be and how we can measure that along several different dimensions. So we need to look at the product, the geographic area, the time, and the level of competition that we have in the market. We also need to look at the market potential and the company's sales potential of our target audience. The market potential is the total amount of a product that all firms in an industry that customers will purchase within a specified period at a specified level of industry-wide marketing activity. It can be stated in terms of either dollars or units and can refer to a total market or to a market segment. When we analyse the market potential, it's important to indicate the time frame and the level of industry marketing activities. So one of the tools that we might use to look at the market potential was the data out of IBISWorld, for example, that looks at our market potential and the analysis of the industry-wide. We will then want to look at the company's sales potential. And this is the maximum percentage of market potential that an individual firm within the industry can expect to obtain for a specific product. Some of the factors that we look at here that influence a company's sales potential are the size of the market sales potential, the magnitude of industry-wide marketing activities, and the intensity and effectiveness of the firm's marketing activities relative to that of its customers. Now, there are two general approaches that we take to measuring company sales potential: breakdown and build up. The breakdown approach measures company sales potential based on a general economic forecast for a specific time period and the sales potential that's derived from it. The marketing manager here starts with a broad, comprehensive forecast of general economic activity and then estimates the market potential and the company's sales potential. The build-up approach measures company sales potential by estimating how much of a product a potential buyer in a specific geographic area will purchase in a given time period, multiplying the estimate by the total number of potential buyers in that area and adding the totals for each area to calculate the market potential. So we do draw here on a little bit of accounting skills too when it comes to marketing. But without competitive assessment, sales estimates can be misleading. So several questions that we also need to consider about our competition or our competitors in the segments include: how many competitors exist in this market? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? Do several competitors have major market shares, and together do they dominate the segment? How can our company create a marketing mix to compete effectively against those competitors' marketing mixes? Is it likely that that there might be new competitors into this market? And if so, how will they affect our firm's ability to compete successfully? So all these things need to be considered when we're looking at that target market selection. We also need to look at how much it's going to cost to attract that particular target audience, because meeting the needs of a target segment can sometimes be expensive. Ooh, often it can be expensive. If costs are too high, marketers may treat the segment as being inaccessible. So some of the factors that we look at affecting costs that we look at here might be any distinctive product features. Is it the attractive packaging design? What does that look like? How much is that going to cost to create that type of packaging to attract our target audience? Do we have generous product warranties? What about our advertising, our promotional element of the marketing mix? How much money are we going to put into promotion and advertising? What about promotional offers, pricing, competitive pricing, and the quality and the level of the personal service achieved? And it's really important that we do this. A great example of this was Pepsi back in the 1980s. Had a strategy where they wanted to be the #1 cola brand in the world, and so they just put everything at Coke so that they could knock Coke off the mantle of being #1. Now, Pepsi actually did achieve that for that particular year. However, the company almost went bankrupt doing so because they didn't take into account the cost estimates for them to achieve being #1 in the marketplace. So they sort of rolled things back a little bit and are now back in the #2 position. But it just goes to show why it's so important to consider the cost of targeting a selected segment. So we've looked at our first 4 steps in selecting our target market. We've identified the appropriate targeting strategy, determined which segmentation variables we're using, we've developed those profiles, and evaluated those segments. So now it's time to select that specific target market. So when selecting a target market, it must be determined, first of all, if the customer's needs differ enough to warrant use of that market segmentation. Because if not, maybe we can just put out the one marketing message to the entire audience. Segmentation analysis will show if the customer's needs are homogeneous and would benefit from an undifferentiated targeting strategy, or if the customer's needs are heterogeneous, where one or more target markets must be selected. Now, assuming that one or more segments offer significant opportunities, marketers then must decide which segments to participate in, which one is going to help them hit their profit objectives. And the firm's management must consider whether the organisation has the financial resources, managerial skills, employee expertise, and the facilities to enter and compete effectively in those selected segments. So now you should have a really good understanding of how marketers conduct a segmentation analysis and identify who their target audience is, or the best segment of the market for them to attract to achieve their profit goals. In the final video, we're going to be looking at product positioning and repositioning.